Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabriel. On behalf of CameraPro, we are here with another On the Couch, supported by Canon Australia. And tonight we will be talking to Ruby Boland, music photographer and musician herself. How are you tonight, Ruby?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So let's kick off a few things of how did you get into photography?
I don't really remember kind of like getting into it, but I always remember just having a camera around me from a young age and just taking photos of literally everything.
Yeah. Did anyone in your family was into photography before that? Your parents or a cousin or someone?
No, I don't think anyone in my whole family is into photography.
Oh, nice. So you were
Yeah.
like since like what, 11, you said?
Yeah, something like that. That's when I started kind of going to gigs and doing music stuff, but I think I've just always had cameras since I was even younger.
Do you remember like what was your first camera that you had? Was it a film camera or was it already digital?
It was probably just like a little point and shoot. The first camera I remember having was a Nikon Coolpix or something, I think,
Cool
and
pics, yeah.
yeah, and I would just take that everywhere.
Oh,
And
nice.
then my next camera was a Canon 60D after that.
Nice. And how did you end up starting actually into the music uh, shooting, like shooting music festivals and bands? How did you start getting into that? Was it later on, or it was actually
So,
very early?
yeah, pretty early, I started going to gigs when I was about 12 or 13. I think I was 12 when I went to my first festival,
Wow.
um, and 'cause I would just take my camera everywhere, so naturally I took it along to gigs with me, and I would just take photos kind of like just to have memories and, like, photos of my friends and stuff, and
Yeah.
then I guess it just naturally, like, turned into what it is now.
Nice. And you would say that did you start because you're a musician as well, right? So did you start in being into music first and then into photography, or was like a mix of both together?
Definitely music first. Both my parents love music, and it was always
Hmm.
on growing up in the house. Um, so yeah, definitely was into music first. I think I started playing guitar when I was 7 or something, and then, yeah, photography came after that.
Okay, cool. And today you play guitar still, or you play something else?
I play guitar and drums.
Cool. Drums, that's it.
Yeah.
And in relation to festivals that you've covered and that you've been covering, do you prefer doing large festivals or you prefer doing small bands initiating and yeah, those the little ones? Which one do you prefer to shoot the most?
I think I like them both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really like small gigs and festivals because you really I feel like the crowd it's a lot more intimate with between the artist and the crowd, and I really like shooting kind of interactions there's with, like, the band and the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess still happens at bigger shows, but not in the same kinda way, but then I love getting, like, the massive hero shots at festivals of, like, giant crowds and stuff like that. Um, but definitely after COVID, I am not festival fit, as I'm sure a lot of us festival photographers would agree. It was very, very hard to get used to, like, working full days again, but it's getting there. Glad to be back.
and And talking about that COVID bit, how did you manage to surf through that period where the entertainment industry got pretty like hit really hard? How did you manage to get afloat? Did you end up doing something else, as you said that you kind of changed job a bit, or
I,
you
um
stayed in photography?
I at first, when it first started, I was pretty, like, relieved because I feel like everyone needed a break, but no one was taking one because it was very competitive. Well, not competitive in, like, the, like, actually competitive, but just, like, everyone was doing a lot of work just before COVID and kind of was yeah, and I feel like people felt like if they had a break, they would slip behind. So,
Mm-hmm.
when COVID happened, I think everyone was a bit relieved, in this because everyone was forced to have a break. So, it was kinda nice for 5 minutes, but then it just was like shit forever for 2 years, and it was just, like,
It's like the
depressing.
first 3 months is like, woohoo, free
Yeah,
holidays.
it
And then
was
it's like, get out of here.
yeah, it was really depressing. Um,
Mm,
but I think I did, like, a few other little bits of photography, like, I did some sneaky weddings,
mm.
that with, like, very small weddings that happened, and but other than that, I kind of just shot a lot of things for fun, like, my friends skateboarding and surfing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. I've seen that you do have some sports shots into your Instagram. Do you kind of like would say, apart from music festivals, sports would be another area that you are into, or it's more just a hobby or for fun? It's just like a hidden passion of yours.
I've always loved skateboarding and soccer, which are I guess the 2 sports that I've shot.
Hmm.
I've played soccer well, not anymore, but I, like, played for 15 years or something. Um, and some of that time I played at quite a higher level, so I've always been really into soccer, especially women's soccer. So when the Matildas, like, played a couple of friendly games, I just took my camera along because 'cause I'd seen a few friends shooting soccer and it looked fun, so I just took my camera and then I really liked it. But I still haven't figured out how to kind of get in and do it for, like, with actual accreditation. So,
Yep.
I kind of have just taken my camera and shot from the crowd, I guess.
So
Um,
you haven't, sorry, you haven't monetized that part yet, right?
yeah, just
Okay.
for fun at the moment, but I definitely would like to get into more soccer stuff. And
Hmm.
skating, I just love shooting my friends skating down at the park and stuff.
Cool. In relation to festival again, since now everything's back, like everything's kind of pumping. Everyone who's into entertainment are doing events now. Do you have a dream festival that you would love to shoot, and then you have not had the chance yet?
Yeah, definitely would love to shoot Coachella. That would
Mm,
be I think it would be crazy, but also, like, the best thing ever.
yeah,
Or,
I've
like, any of the just any festival overseas would be crazy because 'cause they're just so much bigger, like, all those huge festivals, like Lollapalooza and Reading and Leeds and stuff like that. They're just so big, so it'd be cool to shoot those.
you haven't done any international yet, any international festival yet.
No, not yet.
Okay,
So that's
and
yeah, that's on the
yeah.
list.
And in relation to musician, have you ever shot your favorite musician already? There is any musician that you'd love to shoot?
I have shot quite a few of my favorite musicians, I guess. A couple of weeks ago, I got to shoot, like, 2 bands that I grew up with, Midnight Oil and Crowded House, which was crazy, it was so cool. But I guess I'd really love to shoot Coldplay just because their live show is crazy and so colorful, and I feel like my style of photography would really suit their show. So
Okay.
I'd yeah, would love to shoot them or, um, the Jonas Brothers. I reckon they'd
That's
be I've been a fan of them forever, so that'd be fun, and Harry Styles.
and Harry Styles. And in relation to, you said your style of photography. I was gonna, because I saw some of your shots, and some of them are kind of different in a way. I've seen that you have shots that you some you use flash quite a bit, some you don't, right? You use more of the natural light. Is that related to the condition on the day, or is that related to the vibe that that musician or that band is putting out?
I think a bit of both for sure. I shoot a lot of small, like, local gigs in Wollongong.
Hmm.
That's definitely don't have the best lighting, so I guess during COVID, when there was still, like, restrictions and kind of weird vibes with gigs, I kind of just was experimenting a lot. And a lot of the photos that I was taking were using flash just because the lighting at the venues was not very exciting. Um, so I was experimenting with, like, slow shutter and, like, light, like, making the lights just weird and kind of long
Mm.
exposure kind of vibes, and just, yeah, like, twisting my camera all sorts of ways just to see what would happen. And then I think I just kept doing it in, like, smaller venues, but a few bands have lacked that style and then would eventually ask kind of for, be like, "Oh, can you shoot our show like the way you shot that show?" kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
I was gonna
most of the time it's because of the lighting conditions.
I was gonna see if I can pull it out a few of the examples that I saw here. Just give me 1 second, and then I can go on it and kind of make a little bit more clear for the audience to see. Where is it? Hmm. Just bear with me, guys. I think was. Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, like those ones, they look kind of like almost like a rock and roll vibe, grungy underground because of the flash. Actually, I
Yeah.
don't know if you agree with me on that.
No,
But yeah,
definitely.
I found it really cool that way, and I that's why I kind of came up with this question because I would believe that some people, like some artists, would say, "Yeah, that's the style we want our brand to look like." So sometimes you kind of had to shoot for the brand of the artist, right?
Yeah,
So that's
for
why I
sure.
kind of like, I was like, oh, so I don't know if she actually does it because of the situation or because of the band itself. But I think kind of both of them communicate, right? Like it's a thing that it's a combination of all those things that makes you end up shooting in a certain way.
Yeah. I guess a lot of the bands I do shoot in these small venues are kind of like rock and punk bands, so the flash style definitely works with their vibe. And those photos that you just showed, that venue was just because it was at Frankie's Pizza and it was just pitch black
Mm.
pretty much, so
Hmm.
I didn't really have a choice.
Fair enough. We
Yeah.
will show some of more of the epic shots that you have as well soon, I would say. Probably when you're talking more about the process that you go through with editing. But before that, I actually would like to ask you in relation to the gear that you take to the festivals. What is your what gear do you usually bring with you, and what is your favorite setup in terms of lenses and body as well?
So, my current setup is very minimal. I've got
Mm-hmm.
a 5D Mark III and a 24 to 70, 2.8 lens that I've had, and that's pretty much been my whole setup for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've just recently got a 70 to 200 as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I pretty much only use at festivals, but it's probably my favorite lens.
It's
Um,
like that. Why is it your favorite lens though? What does that elements it brings to your photos that you like so much?
I just like how sharp it is, and there's always really nice, like, bokeh, I don't know how to say it. It
Yeah,
makes
everybody
yeah,
says it different, but
yeah, it always looks really nice. I like it, at festivals taking like, crowd photos because it really singles out, like sorry. Um, if there's, like, someone kind of on someone's shoulders in the crowd, like, "Ah,"
yeah.
really zoom in and, like, focus on them, but also to tell kind of what the context is, and the background looks really soft and smooth and nice. Um, and I also like taking kind of photos of people, just, like, posed kind of festival photos. I
Hmm.
feel just, like yeah, I don't know specifically why
I
I
think yeah,
yeah,
it makes sense those things because I think the compression, the bokeh, and the subject isolation on the 70 to 200 is like really good for that type of environment. Uh,
yeah, and I find as well, like, because I do most of those kind of photos kind of at golden hour, and I
hmm.
feel like it makes the sun a bit less harsh because it's not because of the depth of field, I don't know, it just looks really nice.
Hmm. And they're so sharp. That's true. The 70 to
Yeah,
200s are like really sharp tech on. All right.
yeah.
And in relation to gear, yet, when you go in the crowd, because the crowd is always crazy, people usually drinking and they're having so much fun, and you have to get right in the middle of the crowd. How do you go around and how do you walk through the crowd and how do you do that in a way that you actually are protecting your gear as well?
So I kind of just send it, and I feel like, especially Canon gear, it's so, like, it just lasts forever, and it's seriously everything proof, it feels like.
Mm. Have you ever had like
Um
drinks spilled on your camera and your lenses?
Oh, yeah. I've had drinks spilled, shooting in the pouring rain, just, like, everything, but, I guess most crowd experiences I've had have been fine. I kinda just, like, hold my camera up and I'm like, "Sorry, excuse me," if I, like, need to
Mm.
get to a shot certain spot, and then I'll only be in there for 5 minutes or so, kinda get what I
And
need, but,
yeah.
at the smaller shows, it's definitely a lot more hectic where there'll be no barrier or anything, and you kind of just have to get involved at the same time as shooting, which can be fun and also the worst thing ever.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
imagine like if you're shooting at that very extreme limit of the shutter speed and people are bumping into you, it's like
Yeah.
let me stay still.
Yeah, and I
uh,
think that's why I like using flash at those venues because I kinda just spray and pray,
hmm.
kind of
I've
get the actual kind of motion of the show.
I have actually a question here from one of the audience, in which is kind of goes into that of the live show and the process of getting access. So he's asking about the process of getting access to the backstage and if it's hard to concentrate when music's blasting out of the speakers, out of your ear, and also if it is actually a song that you really like and you're really enjoying the vibe and you actually want to dance to it. Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Um, so the music I mean, we all wear earplugs in the pit, that is, like, I get like, you just I can't shoot a show without earplugs.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess the speaker's usually on the side as well, and we're kind of more in the middle, so it's very rare that we're standing right next to the speaker. So, it kind of, like it's not very distracting, I guess now. It kind of just I kind of get into it a lot, and, um, if especially if it's a band I like, we'll all have, like, a little boogie in the photo pit and have fun with it. Um, I guess for me personally, I think I shoot better and get better photos when it is a band I like because
Hmm.
I'm genuinely like interested in taking the photos of this band of that band.
Yep.
So I think it makes it easier for me when I do like it to do like the band. But then at the same time, if it's the first time I'm shooting a band I really like, then there's like I get really nervous and I'm like, oh, I don't want to stuff it up. Like, gotta make sure I
You
get
get the
good
right
photos for
shots.
this band. Yeah. In terms of getting backstage, usually if you're shooting directly for the artist, that's kind of the only time you'd be allowed backstage. But there has been a few times where I'll be shooting for an artist and then like another photographer will come backstage and kind of just be a pest and in the way, and it's can be annoying when it's that, but then I never say anything because I'm like, oh, I'll just do my job and get on with it. Um, but yeah, backstage is yeah pretty much. The only times I've really been backstage is if I'm shooting for the artist or if I'm working like for a festival and have access to do
Like
anything.
media.
But
Yeah, like media
yeah,
access.
but yeah, I mean, I don't really do anything back there except take a few BTS photos and maybe edit at a festival. It's
Hmm.
everyone kind of. I feel like a lot of people have these preconceived ideas of what it's like backstage at shows, but in my experience, it's everyone just like sleeping or like resting and getting ready for the shows and like warming up. Not like this crazy party or anything that I feel like a lot of people seem to think it is.
Yeah, I kind of get it. I mean, they're gonna present massively, so I think would be like a moment of concentration or doing something that relaxes them instead
Yeah.
of actually, you know. We have another question from the audience here as well, in relation to, so it's like asking if you shoot for a magazine and how you expand into other concerts. She's a resident at Crowbar, but want to expand out to other shows and concerts.
I don't really shoot for magazines anymore, but that's definitely how I got like I am how I got my start. But if I feel like publications now are kind of not as um necessary as they was, I guess, when I was starting. There's so many other ways to get in to the industry without publications now. Like it's a lot easier in some ways. Um I would just get put together like a portfolio and kind of just email like other venues and managers, promoters, kind of just like anyone that you would want to shoot for. And yeah, just email them your portfolio and say, hey, I'd be really interested in um shooting for XYZ, whatever the yeah, whoever you're emailing. And just yeah, shoot as many shows as you can to
Yeah.
build your portfolio. And yeah, that's what I did. So I can only speak from that experience, I guess. But I just shot as much as I could and kind of tried to network and get my name out there, which I'm
Yeah,
still
like
doing.
yeah, it's a work
Definitely
pro.
doesn't happen overnight. Yeah.
It's like you gotta get out there and show yourself, right? If you're not seen, you're not remembered, basically.
Yeah. And if you
So
do want to shoot for magazines, yeah, same thing. Just like get together your portfolio and email the most like publications will have a contact form on their site and you can just
mm.
email fill that in, and if you want like access to kind of bigger shows and work your way up.
And in the relation of a little bit on the business side of the photography, with contracts, and once you get one of those gigs, how is your process with it? Do you have contracts already made for venues? Do you have like any charging system as well? How is your process for business?
I personally don't have contracts just because I feel like don't they rarely work in my experiences in music, just because it's so, like, inconsistent with kind of getting paid and stuff. But and the way I charge completely varies based on what I'm shooting as well. Like, if I'm shooting a local band in Wollongong, it's not gonna be the same as if I'm shooting, like, a 4-day festival kind of thing. Yeah, so I kind of just gauge what to charge. I have, like, a minimum that I charge, and then I kind of just gauge it based on the event. But a lot of festivals that I've shot for have, like, a set budget, and they'll just be like, "This is hey, we really we want you to be on the team. This is our budget. Are you keen?" And yeah, I'll either most of the time it's like fine, so I'll say yes. Um, but yeah, I haven't really done any contracts. I don't really take deposits unless it's for like a press shoot. But for live stuff, yeah, no one really does like deposits or anything like that. It's kind of
And
just yeah, just invoice them at the end and hope they pay it, and if they don't, just keep pestering them.
and in relation to the festivals, when you hire, you usually hired by the festival, right? Or is it most of the time by a specific band?
Most now it's mostly for the festival. And then I'll shoot for depending on the festival because they all have like their own rules. Sorry.
All good.
This damn cough.
It gets the
Yeah.
best of us.
Yeah. Depending on the festival, if I'm already shooting and I have like friends playing, they'll usually message me, be like, "Oh, can you shoot our set? We'll like pay you an extra couple hundred or whatever." And I'll be like, "Yeah." So I'll end up kind of doing both. But I haven't been to a festival yet just with one band. Most of the time it's for the festival. Or in the
All
past
right.
for like a publication.
Fair enough. We have another audience question here from Paul Blackburn. Have you ever shot the same festival at multiple locations? And if so, after the first time, does the festival lose any of the lust and seeing many shots in multiple locations? Does it change for you?
Do you mean like the same festival but like Falls, for example? Like how it's at 3 different kind of
Yeah, I think
places?
I think in
Or
a way, like let's say Falls, it was in Byron Bay, right? They have in Byron Bay as well. Yeah,
yeah.
so like let's say if you're shooting Falls again in Byron Bay on the same location, does that change? Do you feel like a little bit more bored? Or it's like, oh, I've shot here, I don't know, or it's completely new for you and you have the same kind of vibe as you had the first time.
It's completely different every time for sure because the lineups change and it's just like a whole different experience. I don't really ever get bored of shooting festivals.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it. It's always so fun and there's always such a good crew of people shooting as well, so I love shooting festivals.
And another one from the crew here, from Meg. Did you ever have a moment where you realized, oh yeah, that's what I want to keep doing, and that's what I love, and what has been the most fun, memorable show that you ever shot?
Yeah, I've definitely had that moment. I think during COVID, I was just like, "Oh, I'm never gonna make it. I'm never gonna I need to stop doing music photography." I was just like really depressed about it, and then I think I shot I can't even. Maybe Spilt Milk Festival in Canberra was, I think, the first. I think it was the first festival back that I shot, and yeah, I was like, yep, all right, we're back. We can get back in that mindset. I think every time I shoot something that's like kind of big or something I love, I'm like, this is the best.
And
I
I
think I
think
was sorry. Yeah, it definitely felt like that at Blues Fest as well when I was like in the photo pit for Crowded House. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. How is this my life?
and that
Yeah.
was the most recent festival we covered, right? The Blues Fest.
I did Groove in the Moo a week after that.
A week after that, all right.
Yeah.
And how did you feel with like Blues Fest? Because it's such a massive one and so many quality musicians there. You feel like you
Yeah.
want to shoot every musician there was, every lineup,
Yeah.
work like 24/7.
I know it's definitely the longest festival I've been to, but the site is like quite small compared to other festivals, I guess. Like it's very compact and it's flat. So I yeah, that was so good that it was flat. I was so happy because you go to like Splendor, they've got that giant hill that's just like crazy.
And
And
you
the
have to go up and
stages,
down all the time.
yeah, and the stages are like a 15-20 minute walk from each other. But yeah, I can't even remember what the question was.
I think we can pop that up again. Yeah,
Oh
there we go.
yes. And the most fun, memorable shit. I think wow, there's so many. Maybe Florence and the Machine in Sydney, that was pretty crazy. That whole day was wild, like, so many things went wrong on my drive up to Sydney, my car overheated, and then I had to, like, figure out how to get to the train station because I was not near anything. And then I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna miss the show and be really late," and then, just got there in the nick of time, and I was meant to pick up a 70 to 200 that day because the stage is, like, quite high, and I just didn't have time to do that, so I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get anything good." And then I managed to get, like, probably one of my most well-known photos that everyone seems to like a lot, and one of my favorites that I've taken for sure.
Well, talking about those, maybe we can show them to the audience and talk a little bit about your favorite photos and the stories behind them. And some of that, I know that you've saved a few there for us
Yeah,
to
for
feature.
sure. Oh. How do I Oh, yep, cool.
Yeah, there.
So this is the Florence photo that I just mentioned.
Yeah, it
And
looks amazing.
yeah, I originally binned it at first because I should have got the original photo up, but I don't know where it is. But the original is like really overexposed and just like not a very good photo. Like I feel like most people would look at it and throw it out, which I definitely had that initial thought. And then at the time I was kind of doing like a lot of weird edits where I'd like Photoshop stars and stuff into photos. So I kind of just gave that a crack, and like in the background of the photo as well, it was like pretty bright, and there was all these like crew members standing here and here. And I just got rid of them all and then put this star overlay on. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just post it and see what happens.
It looks sick. I was gonna ask you about those stars. I was like, was that the ceiling of the stage, or what was going on there? Because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So the original overlay, the stars were like blue. And I just color match them to her dress to make it flow better.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just blew up on Instagram and Twitter, and it's still
And
still gets shared a lot today.
did you get any reaction from her on that?
Not from her, no, but a lot of the fan pages shared it. So yeah, I still have no idea if she's seen it.
And in relation to that process of editing, we can actually talk a little bit about softwares that you use, which you use Lightroom, Photoshop, or something else. Which one of them is your favorite, and which one you spend most time in?
Yeah, definitely Lightroom is my main software that I use. If I'm doing like press shots, then I'll use Photoshop for those. Or if I want to like do these weird kind of overlay edits, which I haven't done in a long time. But a couple of years ago I was using Photoshop heaps for editing and like just putting random things in photos and making crazy double exposures and stuff. But yeah, 99% of the time I use Lightroom.
Yeah, it's the bread and butter.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so easy for batch editing and presets and stuff.
Yeah, I think we have another question here from Sam Jackson. It's actually quite an interesting one. Um, who are some of the most inspirational people you've worked with? Photographers that you love to see their work as well?
I think this is gonna sound probably cliche, but I think Australia has like the best music photographers in the world, and pretty much everyone that I work with is just like incredible, and I really am inspired by them all the time, and I really admire how encouraging everyone is. Yeah, it's really great, but I think I can't even think now. There's so many.
Do
This is
you I was gonna say, like, there is any, maybe not even a photographer per se, but some other type of artist in maybe music or in another area that you look at their work. Maybe they work with colors, and the colors that they work with is colors that you really like. Someone like that.
yeah. Oh, I've had a full blank. I
I put you on a tight spot there.
um. Oh wow. I guess my friend Jess Gleason. I really like her colors in her photos. I feel like they're just they're always so nice. I really like her work.
And you're the type of, like, you said earlier that you're into colors quite a bit. You like colors like soft palettes or more like vibrant, punchy colors? What
Definitely
would you say?
vibrant. Yeah, definitely
Vibrant.
vibrant and punchy for sure. I when I first started, I was doing like a lot of muted colors and like faded blacks, which I think everyone went through that phase at one point. But then I guess I just tried to create my own style that when people see my photos, they would know that I took it or edited it or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely vibrant and punchy colors for sure.
And when did you get to the point where you decided to, instead of doing most photos similar to everyone else, and you're like, nah, I will actually put my style in it, and I don't care. People will have to like it. If they don't like it, that's fine. I will want the people that actually likes it. Like, you had to put your foot on it. I would say, all right, I will just do the style that I like, and I had to stick to it. When
Yeah,
that kind of like you got that transition?
I think only in the last maybe 3 years, 2 or 3 years, I've yeah. I mean, I guess like I feel like I'm always like I look back on photos from 2 years ago and I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe I edited like that." But they're not like that much different to how I edit now, but it's just like tiny little things.
Mm.
I guess I'm always like evolving my style, but also keeping it as my style, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess when I stopped doing those weird edits where I would overlay everything, I think I was I guess yeah, I was just doing a lot of like trendy things that were everyone seemed to be doing, like star filters and prisms and stuff like that. And then when everyone else was kind of doing like artistic edits, I guess you would call them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, maybe I'll be different and just edit them play like just as they are. And then I kind of stuck with that, and like I think it made me focus more on the actual photography rather than the editing, because I would like if it was a bad photo, I'd just be like, oh, I'll just chuck some stars over it. She'll be right. But now I actually have to get the photo right because my edits are just like I don't really do a lot to them.
Yep.
Kind of just
And
enhance.
in relation to that bit of like editing and taking the photo right, do you find that now that you have more experience, you even those shots, for example, this favorite shot of yours that you said that you would throw it away because it was overexposed and everything, do you find that now it doesn't matter so much the shot, you can kind of always make it work, you crop it in a way and then you edit in a way that you kind of save the image, you get that more often than not? Or
Yeah, I think so for sure. There was one of the days at Blues Fest I was shooting The Living End for one of my favorite bands of all time, and I knew that in the first song their bassist plays like a big double bass, and I knew that he got on the double bass in the first song and like stood on top of it and did like a crazy wave. So I was like waiting for the shot for like 10-15 seconds or so, and I had everything right, and then I think I just had a brain fart, and I must have like pressed a button by accident, and I was changing the ISO, but I thought I was changing the shutter speed, and then it was just like so overexposed. When I looked at it, I was like, "Oh my god! Like, how did I do that?" Like, but I managed to kind of save it a little bit and just chucked it in black and white, and
I
it was passable.
do you have that photo there with you? Because actually I saw that photo on your Instagram and I find that to be like actually a really nice shot. If you don't have it, I can probably pop in here.
Yeah, I think it's on my Instagram.
All right,
I
let's
don't have
jump
my
in.
hard
Is
drive.
that's the photo here, right? That's the one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that photo is so cool. So he did that a couple of times, I guess. Then
Yeah, so I've shot them before at other shows, and he's always done that in one specific song, and I knew it was coming, and then I thought I stuffed it up, but then I managed to kind of save it a little bit.
yeah, that's sick.
Yeah,
And
that's what it sort of looked like with the green, but
this one here.
yeah.
And that in relation to that, you said that you waited. How much of that you think it's important, like waiting for the right moment? There sometimes I do that myself, so I don't know if you do. I stick in the camera like this, and I'm like looking through the camera, nothing is happening, and I know something's gonna happen anytime soon, and you just stay there for as long as you need. Do you do that a lot, or
I
it's like
I do if it's a band that I've shot a bunch of times and I know that something's coming, then I'll wait and I'll try and do it differently each time. So there's a band called Spacey Jane, and I've shot them like a million times, and their guitarist does this one specific jump at like in one of the songs, and I know when it's coming every time, and so I kind of wait. But I've tried to get a kind of different angle every time. And yeah, I kind of managed to get it every time, which I really like. But sometimes if it's a band that I don't know, that I know kind of, yeah, this guy.
That's the one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Yeah, I've got that that same moment probably 10 times from different spots. I've got one on this folder I've got on my screen as well.
Yeah, if you want to show us, that'll be.
Oh. So this is from a festival on New Year's Eve. And yeah, same thing. I knew it was coming, and I was like, oh, I'll get it from behind this time, kind of looking out into the crowd. And as soon as I took it and like saw it on the back of the camera, I knew that I wanted it to be in black and white.
And it's so high, my God, he's jumping really, really high.
Crazy how high he jumps.
I wonder if how much he practiced that. He must have practiced quite a bit to get that high.
Yeah, I think this little box here, I swear they only put it there for him to jump off. Because it's not, it's like laying down, and
I'm pretty sure he asked for it. He was like, I want something, I want to jump really high this time.
Yeah, he like ran from behind it and then like leapt off it.
That's sick.
It's crazy.
Any other photo that you had like a funny story on the background of it, or another like a second favorite photo that you have that you would like to show us as well?
I don't know if I have any kind of funny stories, but
or maybe a not so funny story that was like desperation time.
Oh yeah, I think. Oh, where is it? Actually, this one's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So this is a band called Pacific Avenue, who are really great friends of mine, and their bassist Jack always jumps in the crowd in the last song, or like does something great, like gets on a speaker or does something like that in the last song. And he jumped in the crowds and I was on the stage. So I basically just like went to the front of the stage to like take the photo and almost fell off the front of the stage because I like was rushing to get the photo, and I almost just like went flying off the stage, which was pretty funny.
At least I think the crowd will be ready to pick you up as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I ended up getting the shot, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's a sick shot as well. And you can see like all the vibe of everyone, the crowd, him. It's pretty cool.
That was crazy.
It was a crazy night, that one.
Yeah.
Let me see here. There's another question from one of our audience, Georgie A. Do you have a go-to settings for your camera when you're shooting, and then you adjust a little bit depending on the shot you want to get?
I think the only setting that I keep pretty consistent is having my aperture at 2.8. But yeah, everything else definitely depends on the lighting of the show. Like there was this venue in Wollongong called Rad Bar. Rest in peace. It was iconic. Very iconic Wollongong venue, but it was like the worst conditions ever. But it was all about the community and the vibe of the place. But like it had like one light and it was terrible. So, and I would shoot on like 10,000 ISO there. So yeah, sometimes there'll be shows like that where I shoot really high ISO and like 100 shutter speed and hope for the best, and then yeah, and then other times I'll be like 100 ISO and like really fast shutter speed. Just like, yeah, it definitely always changes depending on the lighting, for sure.
Yeah, and the time of the day as well. Like
Yeah,
if you're shooting at ISO 100, probably like bright daylight.
yeah.
Let me see here. Maybe we can also give a few. Sorry. So yeah, there is another question here from the audience. What lighting do you use at gigs, or do you really rely on the stage lighting?
Yeah, pretty much always stage lighting, unless I'm in like a small venue, then I'll just use my flash and kind of fake the lighting, I guess. In Lightroom, I'll like do a lot of split toning and just fake the colors.
Yeah.
Which is something I do a lot. I just like completely change the colors.
Yeah, I've actually started to ditch my speed light as well, like so much now. I rarely shoot with speed light. If I can use just natural light or the light of the stages, I would just do that.
Yeah, a lot of the times
brings.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I was gonna say a lot of the times we aren't allowed to use flash either at like bigger shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the pretty much worldwide rule for music photographers is shoot for the first 3 songs, no flash. If you're kind of just shooting for like a publication or whatever, but if you're shooting for the artist, you definitely can have a lot more freedom and can shoot the whole show. But yeah, a lot of the time we aren't allowed to use the flash. So yeah, we have to rely on the stage lighting. It's pretty much only shows that we're allowed to do the flash.
And do you have maybe an advice, as we getting close to the end of the stream, so maybe we can go for some advice for people who are starting out. Let's say I've started this year at gig photography. I'm starting to take pictures for free and slowly working up to charge people. Did you start working for free as well, or did you start straight up charging? And what advice do you have for people who wants to step into that next level of, start charging and making some money out of it?
Yeah, I definitely started shooting for free for like ages because I didn't really know that you could make money. I feel like there's so many more music photographers now than there was when I was starting as well. So I don't know if that's, I mean, yeah, I don't know if that would be harder or easier, but for me, I would say just shoot as much as you can. I would always kind of buy tickets to shows, and then I always take my camera along and hope for the best. But I feel like there's a better way than, yeah, I don't know. But I would just, yeah, shoot as much as you can, and really, I'd say really learn how to use the gear that you've got. A lot of people like think that, oh, I need to have the best gear and the best everything to kind of get the best photos, but
let's just say this: if you were to choose a camera that had good autofocus but bad ISO settings, or something like that, which one would you give away, and which ones you'd say, no, I really need that, in terms of ISO sensitivity, autofocus speed, and what else I would say that would be important? I guess those two are very important for music, right? ISO sensitivity and fast autofocus, or maybe
yeah.
burst. I don't know Yeah, which ones do you think would be the two main topics that you want on the camera to have?
Definitely ISO. I think it's more for music photography. I think I would recommend investing into like a good lens, a good low light lens, rather than focusing on the body. Like just to start, if you're just starting out and you're like, oh, what should I like? I've got a camera and a kit lens or whatever. I would. That was the first thing I did. I started with the 60D, which is crop sensor, kind of not completely beginner, but not professional either. And that's what everyone recommended to me, was just getting a lens that goes to 2.8 or lower. And that made such a difference, like just having a better lens that works better in low light. And I shot on that camera for years. And even now on the 5D3, it's still one of my favorite cameras that I've ever used. Yeah, I guess yeah, I don't know. I would, if you've already got a camera like a DSLR, I would get like a good lens. But if you're just starting out and you've got nothing, I would definitely look for ISO sensitivity for sure, and autofocus, and also how many focus points the camera has. Just because the subjects are always moving so fast, and kind of, I feel like I find having more points is like can be helpful.
And do you think megapixels is also something that makes a difference, or not so much?
I've never really thought about it, to be honest, unless I'm like printing. But then again, the biggest I've had to print is like A1, which is not like,
And
yeah.
do you crop a lot when you're editing, or you don't crop that much?
I definitely crop a lot less now than I used to. But yeah, I try not to crop heaps. But most of the time my photos are being posted on Instagram or like social media. So I guess I haven't had to deal with, I don't know. Yeah. I guess it doesn't really matter for me, but other people that do a lot of printing, it might matter. Like having their
Yeah,
photos. Yeah.
I think for it would be the cropping or printing where the megapixels really kind of stand out more. So if you're not printing and if you're getting the shots right straight up, then megapixels should be kind of not such a
Yeah.
priority.
I found, I don't know if this was me just not knowing how to use the camera, but I found having double the megapixels on the mirrorless didn't work so well for low light and live music, just because there was so much more detail and grain. So I didn't really like that. But then at the same time, I didn't have the camera for very long, so maybe if I like had more time, I'd be able to figure it out. But yeah, I find it. I think it definitely depends what you're shooting, for sure. But for me
Yeah.
personally, it doesn't really matter most of the time.
Fair enough. Let's maybe move a little bit about the technical side and go into being a musician yourself. Do you think that has helped you with networking and getting gigs and so on? And if you are not into the music, how would you give advice to people starting on networking and how to get more into the industry?
Yeah, I'm so bad at networking sometimes. I feel like it's taking me a lot longer than it should have, I guess, for certain things to happen. But I guess being a musician hasn't really, like, I feel like until the last couple of years, it hasn't, like, no one really knew that I was a musician except, like, my close friends, so that wasn't, like, I wasn't already kind of in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely came into the industry as a photographer first, and then I guess through meeting people through photography is how I met the people I play in bands with now. But yeah, it's so weird sometimes when I'm at a festival or a show as the musician and not the photographer. I'm like, oh, like this is weird. What do I do? Like, I don't have to take
Should I
photos.
pose?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I feel like there's a lot of being, in my experience, being present on social media has been like most of my networking is being like active on Twitter and Instagram. And I feel like that, yeah, there's a lot of the music industry is on Twitter, which is super underrated in my opinion. Everyone always rags on me. They're like, "Wow, why do you have Twitter?" I'm like, "Because the whole industry is here."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's quite hard. It's quite hard to go into, like, for me at least. I know that Twitter is really important, and I
yeah,
cannot wrap my head around Twitter. It's like so hard for me to post stuff there.
yeah.
Um,
I think because I joined so young, I've just like had it forever. But I remember
mhm.
being the same when I first made it. I was like, "What is this?" um, but yeah, I just, in terms of networking, I would just, like, if you shoot a gig, kind of just send your photos to the bands and kind of
Mhm.
build relate, or like even if you're when you're at the gig, you can
Yep.
kind of introduce yourself to the venue managers or like kind of anyone that looks like they're working.
And I think we're getting close to the end now. To wrap it up, would you be able to give me maybe the life motto? Uh, what kind of way you like to live your life and energy? What kind of energy you like to put it out there?
I'm very go with the flow kind of. Yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty chill. I don't really like planning things very much, uh,
Mm-hmm.
unless I have to.
All right.
But yeah,
Uh,
very go with the flow.
very go with the flow. Yeah, that's good. It's good way to adapt. Easy way to adapt to things that come your way,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think
Yeah.
then, yeah, if I have no or like if I have no expectations, then it's easy to slip into whatever's happening.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much, Ruby, for your time. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for everybody who tuned in. Please don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. And on Tuesday, on the 24th, we will have the guest Damien Bradberg, commercial advertisement, at 6:30 as well. So take care, guys. See ya. Have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
having me.
No worries. Thank you for coming. Take care.